The mouse in the church room calls Christians murderers when he sights a trap there. Ansuma, Daswa, Bimomwachi, Ekaro, Kwalafia, good morning, bonjour, Subahul Khair. Welcome to our next episode. The paper still being gossip for my new viewers. This is the paper. We're on page 7. And the story, The Unwilling Prostitute. It has a continuation which we don't have. So bear with me, viewers. Okay. But luckily there is a summary here of it to tell us about the whole story. Story so far. My mother has been able to convince Mr. James, a former working colleague of my late father, to arrange for me to be employed at my late father's former place of work, albeit with her body. Equally with my body for payment and lots of money gifts to boost. A lot of money gifts to boot. I don't know if this is boot. Okay. Manager has been able to find me a job with his best friend. Now read on. I had to meet 2 interview appointments within a day. The interview at my father's former place of work, a bank, was scheduled for 8 a.m. The second interview, manager's friend's office, was at lunchtime. I therefore prepared first for my father's former bank. At exactly 5 minutes to 8, I was at the bank premises. I asked for direction to the MD's office and was ushered into the reception by a security man. The MD's secretary received me nicely. She was almost my age group and was very polite. She told me the MD was in and that within 15 minutes he will attend to me. In less than 15 minutes, the secretary's desk bell banged and she signaled to me to enter a door on my right side. I was amazed when I entered the MD's office. It was a massive office with a round oak table, a sofa, a TV set, a giant radio cassette player, and a double-decker fridge. Good morning, sir, I greeted. Good morning, young lady. Have a seat, he replied without looking at me. Yes, that's a lawyer. He won't look at you. He was scrutinizing a file in front of him. After a few minutes, he looked up at me. It's a normal practice of this bank to practice. It's a normal practice of this bank to replace a dead member of staff with his next of kin. So your application has already been approved. Please wait for a few minutes at the reception. Yeah, that's it. Please wait for a few minutes at the reception, your appointment letter will be handed to you and you will have to indicate the acceptance of your appointment as a secretary in this bank within 2 weeks, he declared and waved me off. As I sat at the reception, it dawned on me that my mother did not have to sell herself to Mr. James for the simple company's regulation. The job was mine. The job was mine for the asking, but no one was ready to let me and my mother and my to let me and my mother on that secret on that secret all this time. Yes, Mr. James, who should have known better, rather took advantage of my mother's loneliness to sleep with her he could before he confided in her. Uh, this means the man is selfish. This means the man is selfish. Had my mother not given herself up to him, he would never have done a duty he owed to a dead staff. Oh yeah, I agree. Yes. Man. Okay, paragraph. My mind started racing. Are these people trustworthy? That's she was asking herself. Are other bosses I would be working under not going to try to take advantage of my lusty and youthful body before they gave me my due promotion or salary? Paragraph. As these thoughts filtered through my mind, I looked at the MD's secretary busy at work. She wore a very short skirt, and from where I was sitting, I could see her underpants through. I could see her underpants, though under her desk. Is it true under her? Okay, I saw her underpants, though under her desk. Yeah, though under her desk. Is she serving her boss with her body to maintain her position? I kept asking myself. Oh, women, women have troubles. In less than 30 minutes, a clerk handed me my appointment letter. Full stop. I opened the letter and read the contents. I had been given an appointment as secretary to the deputy MD on a monthly salary of 800,000 cedis, transport allowance of 100,000 cedis, clothing allowance of 150,000 and a rent allowance of 100,000 cedis. In all, my take-home pay was 1,250,000 cedis, out of which 5% income and 10% social security would be deduced. Well, will be deducted, I'm sorry, will be deducted. I thanked the MD's secretary and she congratulated me for my appointment. I left the bank at about 11 p.m. Hey, maybe she started work. I left the bank at about 11 p.m. What does it mean 11 a.m.? I don't know. I left the bank at about 11 p.m. I had 1 hour before I would attend the second interview at manager's friend's office. I wanted to break the news to my mother at the shop before I proceeded for the second interview, but a sixth sense told me to wait until the end of the day to tell her what had transpired out, out of the two interviews. Yes. I whiled away the time drinking. I whiled away the time drinking Coca-Cola at a spot near the second office where I was to take my interview. Right on the stroke of right at the stroke of 12 noon. Okay, I think he meant the first one was 11 a.m. and not 11 p.m. Okay. Right at the stroke of 12 noon, I entered the reception of the office. It was a two-story building. It was a two-story building. The down floor was a warehouse. The offices, The offices were upstairs. I waited for the lift and entered it. I clicked on the top floor, which happened to be the second floor, and within seconds I was on the floor, which leads into some offices. On my right, there was a door with inscription reception. I knocked on the door and entered. When I mentioned my name, the receptionist opened a door behind her and entered, and I entered behind her, and I entered a more bigger, a more tastefully furnished office than my father's bank's, but than my father's bank's MD's office. Did not that sorry, that my father's bank's MD's office did not compare with. Pardon me, viewers. Uh, a fair-colored, tall, and heavy-looking young man in his early 30s with a booming voice welcomed me. Ekuba, that is it. Ekuba, it is lunch. Sorry, he said, Ekuba, it is lunch time. We are going out to lunch. I mean, you and me, and I'll know you better, and we will discuss duties you will be performing. And we'll discuss duties you'll be performing here. Full stop. Just relax and consider yourself employed. Haba! You haven't even talked to her. She comes and you say lunch straight. So, viewers, what is in the mind? Someone has come to you for employment. You haven't talked to her. You haven't said anything. You open and you see her and you say straight away you are going for lunch with her. Hmm? You see how men are. Yeah. Okay. I will know you better and we will discuss duties you will be performing here. Just relax and consider yourself employed, he declared, and led me downstairs into an air-conditioned Nissan Pathfinder. Nissan Pathfinder 4x4 wheel. Oh, 4x4 vehicle. Sorry, Pathfinder 4x4 vehicle. As he drove off, I sensed the usual thrill of a nice time with a nice guy and some fat money to put. I knew, I knew from experience that Mr. Owusu was going to end up like manager, but I was ready for fun. Mhm. She had no choice, no alternative, she has to get ready because she needs the job. But I'm ready for fun. Dear reader, get ready for a very thrilling episode from next week. From next week, as Ekuba moves to work, to be continued. Sad. And unfortunately, we cannot continue because we don't have the paper. The continuation shouldn't be on this paper. It should have been told. We would have been told. It just said to be continued. Let's go to the next story. Cat saves girl from rapist. Cat saves girl from rapist. A cranky cat who hates strangers saved his petty mistress from a rapist by clawing him until he begged the girl to call the police. Full stop. Nick Campbell, a rapist, sneaked into the cat's mistress, Molly's Liverpool home. The cat mistress, Molly's Liverpool home in England, through a bedroom window while Molly was asleep in the living room. The cat, Sam, was asleep in his usual place and didn't hear the rapist creep into the room until Nick was halfway across the room. The cat suddenly awoke and hissed, but Molly thought he had heard something outside and didn't pay attention. By the time Molly realized something was wrong, Nick had a hand over her mouth and was pulling her to the floor. Let me repeat it. By the time Molly realized something was wrong, Nick had a hand over her mouth and was pulling her to the floor. Before Molly could gather her wits, Nick had taped her mouth and tied her hands behind her back. As Nick ripped off Molly's pajamas, the cat jumped at Campbell. The cat had attacked Nick. He was a bloody mess by this time, and blood was pouring from his back as the cat slashed and tore at him. I remember this story. I remember this story. Okay. Finally, Nick had to beg Molly to ring the police they so that they would free him from the agony he was suffering from the cat. Yes. So the cat is worse than police. Uh, Molly knocked off Molly knocked off the phone. Yes. Molly knocked off the phone and dialed 911. Soon police came in to free her first, and it was then she told her cat, Sam, to be calm. The cat and Nick alone. The, the cat and Nick alone with bruises all over his neck, face, and belly. Had the police not arrived early, the cat, Sam, would have pulled out Nick's intestines. Wow, wow, yeah, he would have. I think that's the end of the story. Yes, that's the end of the story. Let's go to the next story. Low sperm count causes sexual impotence in men. Or is it rather sexual impotence that causes low sperm count in men? I think it's the other way around. Pardon me. Okay, let's read on. By our medical correspondent. By our medical correspondent. Men who suffer from low sperm count are incapable of sexing a woman for two or more times within a short period. But what are the disadvantages of this disease? It's a proverbial saying in Akan that if a woman goes to marry and never begets a child, then she has made a fruitless journey. If a man marries a woman and he is not able to put her in the family way, hardly does the marriage become a happy one. With some men, there is a problem of infertility. If a number of seeds, e.g., beans, maize, in brackets, e.g., beans, maize, are planted, some may germinate and some may not. The same goes with men. Out of a selected sample of men, a few cannot impregnate a female. Such men are infertile. The count in their sperm is so low that it is not able to fertilize with that of a woman in her ovary, with that of a woman in her ovary. Okay, paragraph. If a man is not able to bear children with his wife, that means the man will never leave behind a natural picture of himself before he passes away. Generally, if a man discharges quickly while having sex, it is an indication that he is a low sperm count patient. So that's a lesson. Let me repeat that. Generally, if a man discharges quickly while having sex, it is an indication that he is a low sperm count patient. Paragraph. He usually cannot sex a second time within that very short period. His semen too is so watery. Full stop. Such men have to be treated to have their sperm count raised. Malarigo Manufacturing Company, located at North Kanishi, just behind Amankwa Blocks Factory on the main North Kanishi Fadama Road, has an effective treatment for low sperm count men. Those who suffer from the disease may contact Malarigo on telephone 027 605 417 or 024 326 143, or write P.O. Box GP 3179 Accra. Malarigo also has agents in the following regions. We read them before. I won't read them again. They are so long. Look that we've done this. I'm sorry if you've done it before. So these addresses or these telephone numbers no longer hold because it's a long time, 20 years. And who knows if all the characters mentioned here are still alive, or the locations are still there. So I think that's all for this page. 8 secrets about sex. We did it before. It was continued from page 6. So that's all about this page. We will end here, viewers. And when we come back, we will go to the back page of the paper. This is the front page. Some have seen it before, but this is for new viewers. And this is the back page. We will go to the stories on it in our next video, God willing. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.